Oh, and Mariana. All right, so I haven't heard from Beth yet. So I am going to call this meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. Looking for it, like I want flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the republic for which it stands.
Bye. We were a little off. It was like everyone is reiterating a slightly different version, but it's been a long week, and it's only Tuesday. Okay, so has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from our last meeting that was held on the 4th of November? And if so, any questions, edits, changes, and if not, could I have a motion?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 4th, 2025.
I second.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, in terms of visitors, I see iPhone 4. iPhone 4. Hello, iPhone 4. And
it's Robin Howard.
Oh, Robin, thank you for joining us tonight.
And that's Chandler.
Hi, Beth. Thanks for joining us tonight. Okay.
Someone else joining?
Oh.
Lydia.
And Lydia. Hello. Has anyone received any correspondence and or community input they would like to share?
No, but I have a question. Sure, if I might throw this out. I know everyone's very busy, but I have a lot of time walking my dog. I spend a lot of time walking my dogs, and I was just curious. I walked by the back of the school, the status of the forest playground. The last time it was inspected, if you could look up the records on that.
We had the discussion last year, and there's actually no inspector that will come out and perform that task. So,
Well, what's your concern?
There's a lot of concern. Probably the biggest thing is that stump that's there.
Does it look like it's?
No, it's looked like that for a while, but it looks worse. And it's a safety concern to me.
yeah, because it's not a traditional playground, obviously.
Yeah, but they had an inspector at one point come out. So that's what I was wondering if you could see.
I know it's such a unique space. I don't think it's traditional.
And they would come and do the Gennaro sort of took apart and refinished and all that, but
Yeah, the one that's nuts and bolts that has a spec sheet.
Yeah.
There was an inspection though, I know that. And maybe I'll look through my papers to find it.
if you can find out who has those
Yeah, because it's
and what
it is a
standards they
concern the last time there was an inspection.
Yeah.
And that's why I just, when I was looking at it, I'm like, that looks about the same, only worse. So this isn't to be picky, just being concerned about kids' safety.
Mm.
That's the priority.
I guess that stump is problematic.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, does the stump provide like?
It has rope barriers around it, like at the theater where you walk through. But just the stability of the stump itself, from being a very ancient tree. I mean, those trees were little when I was growing up. So they're pretty old. And just the stability of it, because that's just something I'm curious about, but I will look it up and I'll talk to a couple of other
wonder if like a tree person could come and just say like, I mean, obviously they're gonna say, yeah, it needs to go. It's like going to a surgeon and ask if you need surgery, but
I don't think surgery is gonna help it.
I don't know, I'm
It's
just saying
a big-
like,
Yeah,
Wasn't the architect design or anything like that.
no,
Wrong.
yes,
Sophie, I understand completely.
yes, it's just a concern because it was a concern.
Say this is state.
There was somebody that did come in and that was.
I did a property walk with the town
Mhm.
and we noted a few concerns.
Yes. And I know everyone's busy, but I was just curious if you could, we've obviously what, and I'll look too.
I would think Tony would know at least where to look for Chris, but.
I would ask Chris. Thank you.
Speaking of playgrounds, that was a great gateway because I've had I've actually had a handful of parents express concern that the playground on the Castle Road side, that's enclosed, has been used more frequently as essentially a dog park, and parents have been left to picking up dog poop because people are bringing dogs, which they're not supposed to, onto school grounds, and they're using it in an area where kids are highly active and they're not also cleaning up after their dogs as well.
or that you would even use an enclosed playground as the area to do that. I mean, that sounds to me like a police issue and not a school issue.
Both, really, because it's.
Yeah,
It's school grounds, so it is a school issue.
I didn't around the building, the dogs.
Yeah.
I'm allowed them.
I guess what I'm saying is who enforces that?
The animal control officer, but that would someone from like the school committee would have to reach out, and so.
Do that.
But
Yeah,
if-
we can certainly do
I
that.
guess what I'm asking is like, if people are going into areas in town where they're not supposed to be with animals, that's our thing to deal with?
That's a really good. Happy to tell you.
Or even the police, because when there were issues at Doggy Beach.
I would just think like if they're patrolling the area, and I'm not trying to put this like, oh, the police are responsible for this, but
No,
like
but they might.
if they're patrolling the area and they see people in that playground with a dog, I would hope that. I just think that they're gonna get the most response. They're gonna get the most response, probably. That's all.
So you do also have to remember, usually I would say about 60 to 70% of the time, there's only one police officer on the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So
People with the dog
you would,
concern.
so it does need to be filed with the animal control officer, as he does also work in town at town hall.
Okay. I mean, you would be the one to know. So
Yeah, you'd have to file it with the animal control officer, and then parents would have to call the police in that immediate moment. But the police cannot go back and fix something that is now a he said, she said situation because they're not in that moment responding.
yeah,
But it's also it is a health and safety concern, because if dog feces are being left in the playground where kids play, that's a health and safety concern as well.
Are you seeing?
There are people who will walk through with their dogs, but we tell the kids they're not allowed to touch the dog.
Are they walking across the lawn or just sticking to the
Sometimes
back
they'll
road?
walk down the road.
We'll come down that
Yeah.
back
Yeah, the back road.
Yeah.
in the morning and.
and there's signage that says no dogs allowed, right?
I don't think there's one. Is there a sign?
Yeah. It used to be.
A sign that says no dogs?
There were a couple of them.
Well, I'm saying on like going into that playground.
Over here?
Yeah, is there a sign on the fence? Maybe we should start with a sign.
We've never seen a dog in that play area. It's more been like that where people are walking dogs or in the.
That's where you're talking about, Mariana, right?
Yeah, the
Here.
enclosed play area. I've multiple people have told me that they have seen dogs in there, and it's been used as like a dog park to
So
keep
why-
the dogs enclosed.
Why don't we start with a sign
Yeah.
that says no dogs allowed?
It's a bad thing to tell the animal control officer. I agree with
But
that.
if there's no sign that says no dogs allowed, then
People
what are we telling the animal control officer? People are going into an enclosed area.
With their
with their-
dogs, where there's kids and letting them poop, it's like, I mean, I guess I'm like, are you stupid? Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Totally, but I think that if we
Um,
start with a sign, then at least people are on notice, like just don't even go in there with the dog, no dogs allowed.
I'll reach out to staff.
Then I think we have something to go to the animal control officer and say, there's a sign there that says no dogs allowed, and people are still going in there with their dogs and letting them do
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, like.
Yeah.
I don't know, start with putting people on notice. Or
Yeah,
pick up
I-
after your dog.
Right, I know.
I don't
It's-
know, I
that-
mean-
we have to even talk about this. That's why I feel like we have to
Yeah,
up the ante a little bit. I don't think it costs us anything to let the animal control officer know. Even if it's a pre-step where we're saying, we're gonna put up a sign.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at town hall anyway. Very soon, I can stop by.
It's a special meeting.
There's that, there's a budget.
Yeah,
Town
right.
hall, I could stop there.
Right,
do we also put a sign? though?
yes,
Yeah.
That
yeah,
way-
definitely, we should definitely. put a sign.
And I don't know what it's gonna say, I mean, pick up after your dog, no dogs, like, no dogs, no dogs allowed, but
No,
then
no
when,
dogs allowed, this is a children's play area, use your head.
yeah,
And
Maybe
it's also school property. They're not allowed to be on school property.
oh,
Supposed to be on the school property.
True.
there you go.
For those signs.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there are any parents that have dogs. With little kids that bring their dog and their child in the playground.
That's what I was thinking, right?
It's
But-
shock people who
Which,
do that.
which they shouldn't do, because there's other kids.
We know that's a playground at school, you know, but anyway, yes. Yeah, here we are.
Okay, great. No issue talking to the animal control officer, signage would be awesome. I'll reach out to them. Are there any other, concerns or feedback that people have received?
No.
Anyone out there that would like to make a comment from the community? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the, examination and authorization for payment of bills.
Who sets it? One that was meant for the 11-4 meeting. We didn't have an approach to vote on it. Those have been paid because we have to do that and then prove the amount after the fact. So the November 4th amount, there should be the nights is under
110,637.49, which will be slightly modified for one invoice that. So do I need two motions then to approve both of those?
Can we actually just put this off a little bit so that I can
Yeah, of course.
move on to the next thing?
Yeah, no, we'll get back to the, approval and the, sign off on all the invoices. Circle back on that one. So moving on to superintendent's report.
the few items. First, Principal Fastonbury is to be commended. The planning firm facilitating a superb professional day for staff last week. The feedback from staff being expressed that it was one of the best sessions in recent years. Most meaningful, most appropriate for what they needed. She also did an outstanding job working with the community to organize a Veterans Day recognition ceremony that was also described as one of the most memorable and inspiring. Lots of attendance.
Yeah, so that's, unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but someone else came home saying, well, it's like it used to be, so thank you for that.
Laura Cheney is taking the new art club to the Peabody Essex Museum. So they're using Blue Lobster Band for that. Sort of its first official teacher-driven ride. It's been used for other activities. Either I've driven it or Jose's driven it. So it's nice that Laura got herself certified and cleared. She's excited and nervous at the same time of driving over there, but it's a wonderful thing. She's been trained and shown. Good kids. Tomorrow, the superintendent is driving the third graders to Plymouth Plantation in a commandeered Rockport High School 75 passenger bus or whatever for kids. Something I got a few years ago, the CDL bus driver license, and the trip would be too expensive for the kids to be able to afford to go. So I still have a lifeline back in Rockport. I just call and say, hey, can I borrow the spare? And they say, yes, I'll bring that down tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock and bring it back tomorrow night after town meeting. And probably saves them $1,000, $1,500 that they would have had to spread across a small group of third graders. Last year it almost got canceled, revived. All they asked for us, never even charged us for it last year, was fuel for the bus. But they never sent us a bill. So when I asked this time, I said, please send us a bill 2 years worth of fuel for that amount of mileage. So that's an exciting thing. There's not a lot of school districts who have an opportunity like that. Not only go with the kids, but be able to escort them. Borrow innocent service.
That's so fun.
Greenhouse is now fully planted. And we have still 49 kids signed up. I think some sort of experimental, they check it out, they come, they go, but that's the way we set it up. So all the items are planted. I do have the ability to show a quick shot of that. I have to turn the screen for that, but that's the inside right now.
Fantastic.
It's so great.
Kale, jalapeno, lettuce, hanging plants all around the outside. There was a quick little movie I did this afternoon. The 4th, 5th, and 6th graders were there. And, peas, 2 kinds of lettuce, cherry tomatoes that are coming out, carrots, spinach. There's the kale that's been around for a couple of weeks. Those are peas that were just planted last week. Radishes, tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. Hanging plant division of the greenhouse. We had a lot of donated plants that have been hooked up, so things are coming together nicely with regard to that. And that would be it. My report.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the principal's report.
I'm being Vanna.
You do that very well. So for teaching and learning, as Mr. Lebo said, we conducted a full day for professional learning on November 10th. And we're focusing really on our tiers of instruction for multi-tiered system support. Giving an overview for teachers so they can see how the tiers flow for students to get support services in a layered system for all students, not just students getting support through our special education plan. So meeting kids on both ends of the spectrum, all kids. And then Lori Kasna, our new special ed director, we're in the afternoon session, and that was a focus on the new IEP and really which isn't new, but newer. And what those components for the special education program or meeting looks like. So what are her protocols, how she walked through it. She had her first one today, it was great. And everyone came prepared with data, and it was beautiful. It's really great. Then we also focused on pre-K, looking at the early literacy star. Remember I told you that there was that assessment for early literacy preschool. We just got a signed contract with them this week, so that will be going into effect as soon as possible, as soon as we receive the technologies all set up. We'll be running with that. So the teachers did a little bit of a training with them in advance, so they know how to use all the pieces. CPR training took place for people needing to be recertified, anyone who's working in the lunchroom and also in the preschool. So Cheryl Delizio on Earth was very gracious to do that training, including Mr. Lebo was in there. And then they did a MERT training drill. So that was a medical emergency training that we had take place simultaneously in the middle of our sessions, so that we did a quick lockdown into our rooms, which was perfect because we were holding our rooms anyway. So it worked out great for that team to be able to do a response and with that process. And then preschool they don't always get time to meet, so we gave them an opportunity with the new assessment for them to be able to meet and start to look at how their special education supports are for students in their further behavior. So we had a time for them to work and look at some ABA training, so that they know how to for some of the behaviors of students who are education. The slide deck was shared with you from Mr. Lebo. I was going to give you a presentation of that, but he shared it with me, so now you had it ahead of time. So that's good. It was great news. I was so appreciative for everyone's engagement. The teachers were so involved in learning and eager for the work. So that was great. I want to thank the Nahant Education Foundation and PTO for sponsoring a lunch from Brett Henry that day. Those teachers were working so hard. No one had to think about it, packing a lunch or doing that, but in the middle of the day, it was like a boost of energy came to them. They walked in, it was just all beautiful, laid out. And, wow, I just didn't expect so much. So we're really appreciative of that. And so let's see. Oh, so from one of the activities that we did on the PD day, really looked at tier 1 supports that are happening in classrooms. So what does that look like, and how do we strengthen that so that all students, that's not like the first go-to isn't for them to scoot into another tier, which our teachers have. It's with naming it. So we did a tier 1 PD today that was on student discourse, which is the student talk meeting, but doing it in a structured way. So today we looked at how do we build more student agency? Kids feel some sense of ownership for their learning. So that was the huge focus for us. So we actually looked at the research that states why it's important for student talk to be happening every day in the classroom, and really not just be like a ping pong effect with teachers, ask the question, answer it, come back and forth, but more group talk, and kids having a structure for that, and any scaffolds they might need. So they might need the sentence starters. So for the little ones, I read Frog and Toad, it was about best friends. Well, I agree with Frog because, and so it gives them the blank to fill in, so they get practice of how to speak and respond to literature or to math or whatever subject that they're working on. And then slowly taking those scaffolds away, and kids get the confidence that they need. And so that's just one strategy that we looked at, but they were able to explore those in PLC groups today. And then their task for me is to take one of those that they're going to then implement into their classroom and partner up with another teacher and then we'll do some development of a shared one, so if they're doing, you know, I'm trying to think of one of, like one was on shared partner. That would be like two teachers doing that, and then they would develop lessons on that, and then they would observe each other, to see and give each other feedback, so that there's a little bit more collaborative nature for that. And we'll do that during the people. Yeah, it's just building richer language for kids, helping them with vocabulary, really strengthening, and really one of the things for student discourse that's important for us to remember is that it also opens the door for equity for kids. Mm-hmm. If you have systems in place, then all students have a voice to be able to do it. And it's not like one kid who raises their hand all the time, gets called on, and everyone else over in the corners that are possibly sitting there. They all have a role. So it really helps kids to be able to grow. And the research shows that kids who start talking as early as preschool, and that's a regular routine, their scores in fourth grade go up. They're higher than other kids who don't. So there's research. So, you know, when we look at literacy overall, there's components of phonics, phonemic awareness, there's comprehension, but the part that always gets kind of overlooked is speaking and the discourse. So that's where I wanted to start with staff, so that they really strengthen that. They have some of these practices in their rooms already. However, they didn't know how to mean it that. And then they're like, oh wait, you do some of this. And then it really had more. Yeah, so that's what we worked on today's staff meeting. Our expectations, last time I spoke with you about PBIS revisiting, it has made a huge difference. Our kids reworking the lessons with their classroom teachers. For a walk down there right now, you'd see big posters up that the second grade kids did to remind themselves when they came down to going into the lunchroom, but they're a nice reminder for all students about what the expectations are, but they're written with good writing and good explanation. So I've noticed from my data in the office that the number of office referrals I've had since we've done that have gone down, allowing me to be able to get in the classroom more and be more available for staff. And then our student council, Riley Edmonds, has started the group with them, and their first big opportunity that they're working on is raising or collecting food for the Anchor Food Pantry. So when we reached back to them, they were like, yes, we can fulfill this order, which initially we were told no. Now we said yes. So the kids are excited about that. So they've started the collection as of today, you know, for the trickle in, but that will be going on, I think, at the end of the day.
Is it any sort of donation, or is it Thanksgiving themed, or just?
I think it's a combination.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. So we have it. We posted it on Parent Square with all the items listed, so that people know exactly what they can do. Family and community. We had our parent-teacher conferences. Those were very successful. It was really nice feedback from families watching us, and I actually, you know, the teachers know my kids. The conversations and the data that was shared, I think that it was well received. And their parents, I don't know how yours went, but
My kids are still pretty young, but it was good. It was great to meet teachers, and it's always nice to hear what's going on in the classroom. So,
I think they're great. I really do. We get a lot out of them, and I think because my wife and I are both educators, talking to Britt Racine, you know, or the dynamic duo of Jerry and Harrington, it's just, we speak the same language, and it's nice that there's synergy between, I guess, our very different experiences with different communities and kids. So I like that part of it, but their insight into like star data for Galileo in 6th grade and whether he's trying or not. So, I'm on a state council to look at graduation standards right now. And one thing that's a concern is that if young people don't have a hook, you know, around graduation, the test won't be meaningful, right? And it's sort of a black and white de facto, you know, tons of people who don't want anything like that, and then people are like, the MCAS scores went down, and we don't know whether it's because kids aren't learning or kids aren't taking it seriously anymore, right? Particularly, I'm talking mostly in high school. What was refreshing here is that Harrington and Deering have really worked hard to create a culture where we try. So they knew that my son, it wasn't because he had a pretty bad STAR test, you know, a couple months ago. And they knew that it wasn't because he was struggling. They knew because they had enough relationship with him and his work that he didn't try as hard as he should, right? And so in his recent one, he had a lot of growth. And so they're spitballing to January when it's the next sort of, not the, just sort of the performance measure, but the real performance, right? And they're able to have a really smart conversation about what's happening with them, you know? And it made me really think about just sort of this black and white trap that I think we're in this graduation council that Governor Healy has proposed. And this is the kind of teaching right here with deep knowledge of both the craft, the teacher, the student, and the assessment that really makes a difference. So sorry for the long-winded response, but I've been really thinking about this, and I wanted to bring that up as an educator because I have seen teachers, even my own, that are like, yeah, it's better. And to be able to have a conversation with teachers that deeply know your child's trajectory and what's going on for them, it's huge. It's huge for parents. So the conferences really had power.
I also
learned a lot.
wanted to mention that even my wife and I we had my son's conference, and then we're waiting for my daughter's, or vice versa, whatever it was. And we were standing in the hallway, and Ms. Schindler walked by and said, "Oh, let me have a quick conference with you about Felicity." So I thought that was great that everyone was just really available and happy to talk and share whatever news they have. So, yeah.
They also both said how much they're learning from you. They're really, they're very happy. That's great to see. Yeah.
Mariana, is there anything that you want to share?
I thought the conferences went really well, and I've seen incredible progress in my son this year, much more than previous years. So I have nothing but good things to say.
Great, and I think the great progress we're seeing too, like attests back to the work that the teachers are doing, that they're really looking and analyzing data and using that for their instruction.
Absolutely.
So they're like sponges. I love it. Yeah. Rob, you talked about the field trips. Parents already talked about. Oh, the PTO. I'm going to give a plug, Mariana, for the Charleston wrap. So the fundraiser we have going on right now for Charleston gift wrap and other gift ideas. We have a little competition going with the kids at school where they announce the kids who are leading the leaderboard on their sales, and so we're really thankful and supportive to the community. So that's an ongoing thing, and then we have an upcoming candygram for candy canes. That's going to be through PTO. Yeah, so they'll buy a little, those will go home with kids, so we're not passing candy out at school. It's at the end of the day, it goes home. It could be for grandma, it could be for the neighbor, it could be for anybody. Mariana, did I miss anything else PTO wise?
Tree sales. Tree
Oh,
sales start on November 29th.
Ooh, that's huge.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Sizes, right?
I'm sorry, what?
3 different sizes of trees.
Yes, 4.5 to 6, 6.5 to 8, 8.5 and up, and they're 50, 75, and 100.
Is delivery service an option or no?
On very select days, as it's very limited to who has pickup trucks and volunteer time.
And we're still looking for volunteers, correct?
Yeah, lots of them. So please spread the word.
So the teachers took a day and they're gonna be doing, staff doing some of the sales.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you
great.
so much.
Seems to always fill in, right?
No,
No?
no, it's always the same families who volunteer each year. So I highly recommend if everyone can spread the word, because it takes everyone to make this fundraiser a possibility. And it goes back into paying for field trips and school assemblies and teacher luncheons and a staff appreciation, and it goes back into the community. And without these fundraisers, we can't support the school in that way.
It's not a class designated fundraiser, right? It's like a slush fund fundraiser for the whole school.
Correct. Yep,
Yeah.
because it covers, like I said, field trips for every grade, assemblies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mariana, is there a sign up available online?
There is Sign Up Genius. It is out on Facebook and it's gone out on Parent Square quite a few times.
But maybe for those who aren't on Parent Square, right?
That's what, if you
Yeah.
put it on the residence page and.
Yep, I've done all of that. Yeah.
I haven't
Oh, you mean on the, so that's, I could do that. I've posted it in the PTO Facebook group and the Nahant moms and dads page, which it's still waiting. It's pending approval.
The
I've
Nahant
not,
page might be a really good place to put it too.
yes.
So I need-
So the notice that tree sales are starting has gone out all over Facebook, but the signups have not. And we do encourage businesses to volunteer too. It's a great way for them to get their company advertised if they have pickup trucks delivering trees to families. But it's the volunteering from the families from the school is unfortunately lacking. So it would be nice to have younger families kind of step up, as it's always the same veteran families from third grade and up. We do have a handful in second grade, but the younger kids, I know, Greg, you have a bigger pull in that group. So I don't know if maybe you can kind of talk it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we have one family that has volunteered for 2 slots in the younger age group that's in kindergarten or first grade, but which is wonderful that they picked up 2 slots. But
Is the sign up genius, would it be available to myself? Where I'm Parent Square or other people with pickup trucks?
I'm happy to post it wherever you think would reach the most people.
I would really try the Nahant residence page and just let them know that there is a sign up genius and, if you'd like to do it to help out.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm open to posting it wherever you think.
Might as well give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
Could we post it on the Nahant website, on the town's website?
I could reach out to town hall and find out.
Yeah, and have a link to sign up to.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are community members that would love to volunteer some of their time that don't necessarily have kids.
Yeah. No, I'll reach out and see if I can get it posted on there.
Okay, because we used to do it a lot. It was fun to picture the truck to deliver to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't want to interrupt, but what about reaching out to the high school to see if any high school kids could do it as some community time, community service time?
So we do, yeah, so we do that, but they don't like dealing with the money aspect. So they're extremely helpful for unloading the trees from the 18-wheeler. So we do get high school volunteers for volunteer time, but they don't like the money aspect of it, which I understand.
thought I'd just
Um,
suggest, and I can't, if any families are listening, and I don't know that, it was always our family's most anticipated fundraiser because we did it as a family. Other families did it together. We always had so much fun doing it. I can't believe you're not getting people to support this and come out and sell.
yeah.
It can be so much fun.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. I love doing it. We changed how it works too. So it used to be 4 to 6 or 8 hour shifts, and it's only a 2 hour time frame. So it's short and sweet. By the time you start, it like whizzes by and you're done. So
Well, tell everybody how much fun it can be. Coco, bring the kids. It's like literally a family event. It always was when my kids were there.
yeah, yeah. But no, the high school volunteers, they're hugely helpful for unloading and doing like significant manual labor for getting the trees off that 18-wheeler. So
I'll see if I can round up some high schoolers.
thank you.
Okay, so, that's fine, and then, new hires, I'm turned back to Rob.
The hires, actually, there's personal changes, special education team chair, Catherine Devine.
I hired 2 new substitute teachers for us. They're still looking. Hello, everyone. We need trees, we need subs. 2 community members. Well, one Swanska and the other is someone who just moved to town. Oh, great. Yep. A young mama. You ever get to really come back into the classroom and want to sub here and there? No pressure.
I'm sitting here saying, oh, should I do it?
You know it. No pressure.
And look at the wonderful people you're dealing
I
with on a daily
know, well,
basis.
I know, that would be one really positive aspect to it.
Heck, I love the sub, I just can't fit it during the day. Anything else, Rob? You're good? Nope. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So moving on to our school committee action on proposed school budget.
So as requested, we came back with a version 6 to the budget. And I actually just sent that out to staff. If you're a staff member, we should have that in the background. Same format, a whole bunch of tabs there with different workbooks that come through the summary page.
Okay.
Proposed budget increase of 9.38%, an increase from FY 26 to $455,452. And as comparison, again, FY 26 was an increase of 2.36, 112,109. All salary adjustments, as we talked about last time, in the budget at 3.5%. That is further all reflecting negotiated unit A and B contract. With the increased QESPs, other spend requirements, 87,000 we talked about last time. And the big change, the version 6 now includes the expansion of the present 0.37 FTE ELA math specialist to full-time, and the addition of a full-time literacy coach, and the increase we talked about last time of 10,000 professional development over service line of 40,000 to cover the new part-time contracted sped director services. Increase in occupational therapist, 23,310. 2.5% contractual increase for Swampscott Public School tuition contract. Out of district sped tuition increase, the total is 177,697 over last year's amount. The out of district sped transportation increase is 105,112 over last year's amount. That gives a total sped increase for tuition and transportation out of district of 282,810 of that 455. This budget uses $57,077 in additional preschool funds beyond the $204,060 in related salaries that are already charged out to the preschool revolving account to further reduce the budget increase. Note the total preschool funds committed now to the general budget for a total of $261,137 with an approximate yearly income of around $200,000 into that account. So it's closer to balance, but it's not a model that can have legs for 4 or 5 years out. This reduced that last amount, which was $108,000, took out the health insurance, reduced the amount taken from the budget lines down to 6%. I think we've been looking at 12% or 22%. So it reduced that down. So we've already been taking the salaries out of there. The only additional that comes out of the preschool is 57,000.
So what would be the balance in the preschool?
The balance would take us, if you go to this sheet right here, it takes you through with the blacked out names of the individuals, how much is coming in. There are 39 preschool kids this year, of which 36 pay tuition. 3 of them don't because they're sped kids. And then this shows how it comes across. The total income for this year is $219,493. If you made an assumption, which is dangerous, that you had approximately the same number of kids next year and the 2.5% increase in the tuition fees, you would then generate $224,980. The
So
salaries go up.
what I'm asking Rob is, there's a balance in the,
Yeah, there's a starting balance of FY 25 end of year balance was 232,945.
so we're gonna take an extra 57,000 out
And
of
you add
that.
in this year's income makes 452, 438, and then you take out what we just talked about.
Yeah.
57 from the preschool and the charge for the salaries, and you're now down to 159,637.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Then, if you say, well, if we got that, it starts to run out of gas in FY 28. You would have an end of year balance not of 232. You'd have an end of year balance of 80 something. And I put in the danger, not sustainable. So you could do about that 57,000. Count for your salaries and the increases for next year and the year after, and then you couldn't go any further than that. You'd have to dispense of at least that 50,000 part, if not charging all those salaries out. So the only alternative would be to change the rate of increase of the fee structure, which we had set at 2.5 per year. You could go to 3 or 4, but there comes a point where that's just not sustainable either. So this is helping us right now. We reduced it down. This is the amounts that are coming out of the different lines. It's back here. that tab there, the second tab showed you the entire budget. This year's amount, next year's proposed amount, what the increase is, and then what's charged off. So we're charging off all those sort of tan lines to the budget at 6%. When you get down, this is the list of them. That adds up to that 57,076. Those are adjustments in school health service, guidance, custodial, all those lines we used last year. And then these newer lines that we wanted to try to account for as many other places that are utilized by the preschool. And did not take out that health insurance salary that was there. I was at a town department head meeting today. They're now just getting their first hints of what health insurance increase is for the town. The number that was being thrown around today was 20%.
Yeah.
So that adds a whole nother conundrum to balancing the budget, and the word override becomes much more a topic that has to be looked at and considered. This budget has no bells and whistles in it. All it has is those additional positions, which are designed and necessary to give our kids the best possible shot that they can get.
What percentage of the budget increase is just due to the sped? What percentage of the budget increase is due solely to sped increases, transportation and
Well,
tuition?
The sped increase, you'd have to just really quick do the math. Of the 455, the sped increase is
170 something.
282,809.
Oh.
So it's more than half is just tuition and transportation increase
But
on.
I think that needs to be the pitch is like
That's the real
we're not asking for a lot of stuff. This is like driven by things that is out of anybody's control and that this town is responsible for. So like we're not asking for that much.
And this tab
But
shows
I
you-
think that it makes a much different argument when you take out the component that is literally out of everybody's control, because it's like, don't even talk about that. It's a sunk cost. It is what it is. Like we can't change that. So
last year we had, this is the tab called out of district placement, and I blacked out the names.
yeah,
These are the places students are going in out of district placements, what grade they are in next year, and then what their school year rate is for this year, their summer rate, and then we know that the state has approved a 3.04% increase in special ed rates. So you simply take that tuition, you make an assumption again that these kids will be with us still next year in the same placement, and it adds up to a total increase because we're applying circuit breaker to it. Remember that increase, some of it comes back to us. So we'll be applying 325,000 of circuit breaker in this budget, but the increase in the total for tuition is now a total amount of 650, and the total amount for transfer, 800,000. Total amount for transportation is 243. Now we do get a generation of circuit breaker.
Rob, can I ask a question about that, back to the circuit breaker
Yep.
cost? So is the 650,000 including taking off the 325, or we take the 325
Yeah, because
off
the
of that?
162, half of it comes from transportation. The other half, 162.5 makes the 325.
Okay, so that's
comes out of the
813
tuition.
minus 162,
down to 6.
down to 650. And that hits our budget. and then 243 minus 162
Yeah,
for transportation.
we're still carrying in our budget, 650,000 for that line.
Plus
But
another
the
80
real
for
expense
transportation.
is 813. And the real transportation expense is 243, but we're applying 162.5 of circuit breaker. And I did a little circuit breaker exercise. It works. We would have a amount down the line that at the end of 26, 27, if we got 75% on transportation, we'd have a balance in circuit breaker of 257. This year, they only did 40 or so percent of transportation. And then last moment, end of the year, they went to 75. You really have to assume that they may not be able to fully fund transportation. So I would say you got to plan on our balance being, after applying the 325, we would have 193,489 in circuit breaker.
For the year after.
And that's for the year after, and then the next year's amount comes on top of that. So
You always need to
there
carry a
could be-
balance forward.
there could be a little give right here, but I'm nervous. I remember a time when my business manager in Rockport, there was no transportation included. It was just tuition. And we were building budgets with 75% circuit breaker reimbursement. She goes, 3 years ago, when the economy hit the wall, they only gave 40% tuition. So this is assuming all of the tuition at 75. And going back to what they've done the last 2 years for transportation in the 40s. Now, there could be a little windfall, but the difference is only from 339 circuit breaker next year if it's 75% 403. And we're committing the 325, and it's just a situation where I think this is okay. I would not want to try to dig out another 100,000 from circuit breaker because we don't even have that in hand. That has to be.
How much of that circuit breaker has to be used this year?
You have to use all of last year's allocation.
So how much
in a
is that?
2-year period of time. And this is using that. It's just leaving a little bit of what's going to be generated next year for the year after, year one.
But I guess what I'm
Still have
asking is,
another year.
how much do we have to use this year?
Sort of in this little exercise here.
How much do we have to use or we lose it?
Yeah, I'd have to probably work that out a little bit. This is how I determined that. In 23, 24, we used 65,687 of circuit breaker.
So it says right there, 178.
24, 25, we received 157,810. And then we got that little windfall when they went to 75% transportation. And we had to spend in 26, 27, 178,165. We're spending
Way.
way over that.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. It's not as if we're leaving.
Yeah, there's no
That's what I'm asking.
Same thing.
Because
Almost
I go back,
increased
Rob, to
by
what I said last time, okay? If we're gonna go in and ask for a boatload of money, do we really wanna drain the tanks entirely? Because it looks like we're gonna be facing the same thing next year. And we can't go in for another override next
Correct.
year.
Yeah.
So do we wanna be using 325? Like, what do
Well,
we
that's-
have to spend?
I'm actually okay with that, with a balance of the 193, because if those kids are there, they're gonna produce that same amount.
But that's based on
For
the
that.
assumption that we're gonna get 75% back and we're gonna get,
That's 44%.
It's
of
assuming the 40%,
Right.
it's assuming the 40.
but
on
the
transportation.
75% of
The
tuition.
tuition, yeah.
He said 1 year it was 40% of the tuition.
Yeah.
So I will always keep to this mantra as we're doing this, that if we're going in for an override, we're gonna ask for a boatload of money.
Yep.
Let's not drain our rainy day accounts. Let's ask for a boatload of money.
Yeah,
Like,
keep it in the.
and I
ask,
think
what you're
that
saying.
where going a little,
I see where you're going. You think we're too
I
aggressive.
think we're
with
too aggressive
assuming-
with the circuit breaker
with
of
assuming
three
that we're gonna
twenty-five.
get it.
If we have to spend 178, okay, let's spend 200 and save 125
Yeah.
for the next
And
year
try to get the money
when we're
from the
gonna be dealing with, I mean, I saw the grades of those kids. They're not graduating this year. So we're gonna be dealing with this again next year. I mean, the projections are just gonna keep going up.
Is the 44%, was that the number to the beginning of the year? Or was that what we thought we were gonna get, then we were lucky at the end, there was a windfall up to 75?
We thought, like at this time next year, we looked at what we were gonna get back on circuit breaker from last year's kids. That was gonna be 75% on the tuition over foundation. And you have to pay that 50,000 on your own.
Right.
Then there's a differential.
Right.
And they give you a year later, 75% back
Right.
on tuition. Transportation is 44%. And then in July, they found
raised it.
money.
Yeah.
And appropriated, that's what that,
So have we ever
$20,000.
actually trued up in the year and only gotten 44% for transportation?
how much would we have?
Have
No,
we
has it
ever,
ever happened?
have we ever ended up just getting 44%?
No, because transportation is so new as part of the formula. I was unfortunately, or fortunately, or whatever, the one that sold that to the legislature through Bruce Carr and adding that in there. And the first year, they fully funded it, and then they didn't have it, and they dropped down. But I've only been gone from Rockport for 4 or 5 years, so that hasn't had a chance to
If it were up to me,
sort of play out very much.
I'd take $100,000 of that circuit breaker money out of there and bump it down to 225. Because I think that we're setting ourselves up for a real difficult time at this time next year. If we drain that thing to fund all this stuff this year, I mean, if you fund it, then
You wanna ask the state, you wanna ask the town
Well,
for it
remember, it
I want
gets
to
in
spend
our-
for more money.
through the override.
I think the way to explain it though is we're assuming that we'll get 75%. What if we change the assumption to?
This is what is generated if
That's what I would.
If
do too.
tuition
Like, be
is
more conservative in that.
75 and transportation is 40. This year's kids will generate 339 next year. We're putting 325 on the table, not over that amount, and there's still a balance. If they come through as they did this year, which again, you have to be paying back on that one, it would be 400,000, and we're only putting 325. We're putting 325.
But don't forget,
Not only 325.
the 25%, Rob, keeps growing every year because that number keeps getting bigger.
Yeah,
So
sure.
the 25% that used to be 25% of 200 is now 25% of 400. Like our budget is gonna just keep ballooning. So we need that money for next year.
There's also like, it's also contingency planning money, like we don't know who's gonna win the town
Right, it's
election,
leaning
be on this
either.
list, right?
My thing is,
57,
if we're doing an override this
Plus
year,
a new amount.
do the override.
Yeah.
And get everything we can, okay? Let's not drain our savings account and get the override. Because then, next year, we're in a horrible position. I think we need to try and keep as much rainy day, and I know that they're not gonna wanna hear that at an override, but like, this money, it's a math formula. I mean, if you project this out for years at the increases that they're talking about, the town budget just isn't gonna cover those sped increases that we keep seeing. I saw it last year. It went up like,
Right.
it was like 60% of our budget increase. It's like, we can't keep doing that year after year and expect the tax increase to cover that. So I think that we need to try and save as much rainy day money, the circuit breaker money that we think is coming for years to come. We gotta use what we have to use.
Another point to Greg's point is that we're in really volatile times right now.
Let's just assume though that we get the full ride out of this year's kids for next year, the 400,000.
Yeah,
That is either spent that year or has to be spent completely the next year.
but we're gonna have those expenses because those kids aren't
Agreed.
graduating.
Agreed.
And we just said that we can't keep drawing out of the pre-K, you know,
No, the pre-K.
Into
I don't feel
perpetuity.
very comfortable.
so like, if something
And-
has to give.
And Rob, but I was
You
trying to say,
can't-
but
And I'm not saying this to you, like, I can't believe that we're doing, you know, but like, I think that we should petition the towns people, if we're gonna go for it, let's go for it.
I agree with that. And the other thing I was saying before is that, we're in volatile times, right? Like, no more ESSER, Student Opportunity Act, coming down. There's a lot of volatility from the federal government around entitlement grants, right? Like, this is a time to be a little more conservative, and I think it is the time to ask the town for more now and hang on to, preschool and the dollars that we want to.
And Rob, the worst that they say is no.
Yeah, right.
Then
And
we go back to
here,
the
it's
325.
yeah.
But let's start. My father always said to me, if you're gonna dream, dream big. Like, let's start big. Let's start with what we think we
It won't
need
hurt us to ask them.
to make this last for 3
What
years.
was
Like,
trying to keep that number
Less
less
than
than 10.
10%. I know exactly where you.
Whatever that 0.6 is differential.
I don't know that that's gonna make a big difference. Is it?
I've seen it make a big difference. Psychological.
We can always backtrack.
What if we were to take a stand that because of the volatility, these are very volatile, is that we drop the percentage from 75% to 50% for special education? I'd be curious to see what the numbers look like, because we're assuming.
For circuit breaker reimbursement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just assuming that we're gonna get 75%. I don't like that.
They have been, and their legislators and politicians or whatever, they have been very firm on the 75 position ever since that happened. But that was catastrophic for folks. And the transportation is the one that they slide up and down. They have not touched the tuition.
That assumes that the economy just stays cruising like it is.
And the madness.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I mean, obviously what we're doing is discussing it tonight. There can be a version 7 that drops 325 to, I mean, last year we committed 150, right?
220. I'd like to see
So
that
we can
number
go to
225
225.
because
Run that
we're
way.
using all the money that we have to. We're using an additional 50. I think that that's safe. And again, those costs. If I saw on that list a bunch of people, kids in 12th grade, then
Yeah.
that's one thing. Okay,
But these
they're
are
not.
children.
They're not. Like,
Yeah,
and these
they're,
costs are going to continue to increase at 3%, and our tax rate goes up to 2.5%. That math does not math.
Yeah, there's only two
Two
kids
in grade 11.
that theoretically in another year would then be graduating at the end of that year.
But they're not even the most expensive ones.
They're the most expensive ones for the year, the Danville ones.
In
Where
grade
the
8.
total is 244 and 198. Two kids.
No, one. That's one. Which they're entitled to it.
Yes,
It's the
we
town's
are.
responsibility to figure out a way
Completely.
to deal with
Two
it,
Danville.
to pay for it. And that's,
Their total cost.
but that's why, Rob,
Two
I really wanna dissect, like, I wanna say, what we are asking for is a 40% increase out of the 100%. Like, the other 60% is cost that you're gonna shoulder no matter what. Like, the school's not gonna change one iota.
Yeah, it's the way the position, especially the finance committee last year, they got it. They got the special education.
I'm upset that we didn't go for more last year. Like, when I see that 115 number, it makes me shudder.
We did. They were so.
I mean, remember they
What are
came
gonna
and
do
talked to
this
us
year?
and said that they had no money? This year, we're just gonna say we don't want to hear it. We heard it last year. We're back down, we're not back down. We said we will have these, but these will.
But the problem is that things have changed since then. So we set the stage with the wrong person.
Well, Allison was. He was not.
Yeah, Yeah.
And I don't speak for the whole school committee when I say go down to 225. That's my own opinion. Like, I think that we should be
I'm on board with deciding.
providing ourselves a cushion, at least to start. Let's not go in there at our end point, like that this is where we have to end. I mean, that's not how.
We also talked to Tony last year about how important the math and the ELA specialist were, right? And we wanted full-time then. They said they wouldn't give us the money, right? We decided to back down. We got 30% time, right? And our MCAS scores are not showing it. And our teachers with a new principal have doubled down on reading literacy. So like we want the full time, right? So I mean, I think that argument flows. It's like wasn't good enough. We asked you for the full time. We want the full time, right? And what she's doing right now is there's full time specialists supporting our teachers. I think so. I think we can make a great argument, for this year to Greg's point, and then we know what we need to do if we end up back there, right? If they won't go for the override. When do we do this? When do we talk to them? December 3rd, the first conference that we're gonna have. So we need to talk to Rob and Allison, and then we want to talk with
We have a meeting on December 3rd.
Yep.
And that meeting will follow.
A meeting on December 3rd with Patty, myself, and Alice. Because she has run no budget.
Yeah.
So tomorrow night, special town meeting. And she's gonna look at that. And the amount.
Be a literacy specialist.
Coaching and feedback and.
Some places, yeah, I love the work,
but.
but if you're afraid of those technical pieces that come up the teachers, then there's more minds. And like we can explore some of these other ideas, right? For places that we might want to bring to school, because this is your first year. At the end of the year, you are going to be filled with ideas. Like I talked to, I went to principal today, and I said, I can't wait for it to be 1 year from now, with the amount that you need to learn to be able to like, with the ideas that you're going to have that I don't know, right? So that's exciting. We talked about like, sciences, and we talked about North seeing ways that we might be able to re-engage Northeastern. We talked a lot about that. With some trepidation. So, but like I think there's places that you might be able to bring us, with inside of Rob's leadership that are exciting. But you can't do that if you're scrambling all the time.
Or run,
Because we don't
run down in the ground.
or run down in the ground and drive in somebody 45 minutes to get switched
Saying,
back.
see ya.
So,
Nice knowing you.
Yeah.
so
I do want to get at least $5. I think there's some great work there, and it's hard, but that's, if you look at other budgets in other communities, we really, we're not asking for much. It's just our budget needs so much, with special education and rising costs. Really not.
Not asking.
No, I'm not. It's actually, I was thinking.
how does this feel for you? How does this feel for you? This is okay.
Either way. I still look at that, and I mean, the way I calculated that number. Here's where we were with circuit. In 23-24, we used 65,687. We then received 157,810, plus that little windfall when it went to 75 on transportation. The balance to start 25-26 was therefore either the 131 for that amount of 197. That's the amount we got from last year's kids. 25, 26, we received that. We're then applying, that's our circuit breaker that's available. The 328, those two numbers added together. We committed 150 to this year's budget. That'll leave us a balance at the end of this year of 178. We're either getting 403 or 339, which leaves us with either 582 or 518. And this version commits 325 of that. So that's what we're theoretically going to have available at the end of this school year, 26, 20, or at the end of next year, 26, 27, either 582 or 518, and we've committed 325. So that's where I at least felt, even with a lower number, to then have that, because then we're going to get another based on those same kids. That next infusion will be on top of that balance. So I saw this one as relatively safe and actually kept a little bit back because I didn't want to get right to the bone on it.
It's
So
just 200,000, it's a little less than 200,000, let's go with the most conservative. And that's not a lot of money to have. I guess that's what.
My concern, Rob, is that the kids who are the most expensive, their cost is going to continue to increase. So the 25% that we're not getting back is going to continue to grow over those years. So therefore, we need more money in the bank to pay for that because we still only go up at 2.5% a year.
We also
So
don't know what's going to happen to circuit.
As that 25% grows, we are responsible for that. And it's just a
Like,
math equation.
We might get
you know?
75%, but then things are a little haywire, as Paul talked about, out of the world that we don't control in Massachusetts and beyond. We might see that at 50% Patty point in future years, and that may not cover all the bills. You know?
Even without that, again, the percentage is a percentage of a million, 25% of a million as opposed to 25% of 10 million is a much different number.
Right.
Like, you said it's going up at 3-point-something% a year, the special ed. Well, our taxes only go up at 2.5. Like, that's a 0.5% difference.
Rob, when we met with the homeless, the meeting last year, you had mentioned to them that in Rockport, there was a fund that was set aside for special education schools. And they seemed very open to that concept.
town manager at the time is not interested in pursuing that. But it has to be fueled from something. It has to be from free cash or whatever, which they don't think they like to build into the budget of those. Where Rockport got their money, the free cash is reflected over the budget. That's how they do that. And then if we had lower sped expenditures than we did the year before, we had to put into it. If we had additional, we could draw from. It was a pretty slick little system that ended up with a large amount, $750,000 was in that sped reserve. It started with seed money. And that was from free cash, which the town uses the free cash amount for other purposes. Now we have a new town administrator. Chelsea runs her numbers and looks at the numbers. We can certainly do a version 7 and start with that. And, bring that back to the next meeting and vote on it. That has 225 of circuit breaker. And I'll just rework those numbers like that. And it's going to be $100,000 difference or whatever. And that'll jack that 455 up to the 5. I would assume that's going to put that over that. I mean, it's easy to do, right? Instead of 325, 225, just move that number to 555, 451, right?
The reason I'm frustrated about last year is because
It's
now
gonna take a 11.5%
It's
budget
crazy. Where if last year had been a little bit higher. And you go from 112 to 555.
No, I get it, but I also.
It is what it is. I mean,
The problem the town had last year was negotiating all of the contracts for everybody. And it was so.
and what we said, like something of that is just like the sped increase, or was it one something?
Total sped increase. You take out the 325, you say, what's the total increase? 282,809, of which 177 is the tuition increase and 105 is the transportation increase. For a total of 282.
Just because I think that percentage is important.
It's very important.
You know,
And this is basically what we would be presenting.
so 282 out of 5.
At the next meeting would be a increase of 550,000, 11.5%.
I think Rob, when this is presented, it needs to be presented in such a way that has to be very eye-catching, like boom, 50% is attributable to sped, X percentage is attributable to the fact that we now have to contract services for positions that we formerly had. We have to market rate.
Yeah.
And see where that leaves us. That's the bulk of the budget. Increase right there.
Yeah.
Not the
It's not the
position.
it's not the literacy coach or the point
Right.
63 of ELA specialists, math ELA. It's like that's not what's driving.
Well, the combination of those two is 140 some thousand.
I mean,
Just-
$300,000.
Okay, 500.
It's,
Those are things that are going to serve. How many students are in the school? Going to serve 173 kids, like those two people, not 7. Which those 7 kids or 12 or whatever deserve everything they get too. But let's not deprive the 173.
how much do we pay Swampscott when it's a student who goes to Swampscott from Deeper's special education services? You know, we have some kids that are going to Swampscott to receive special ed, to receive special ed.
Is it each one of those?
Yeah, we're paying for those.
You had a list
I
somewhere.
mean, any of those
Yeah, right. there.
11s, 8s, 9s, 10s, those are students, if they weren't sped, would be at Swampscott. But they're not, they're outputs.
So the ones that
Oh.
say Swampscott,
But there are some
Well,
students
these are,
here,
without uncovering the names,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are a couple of kids that are at Swampscott because we don't have a program or there's some mediated agreement as to why they're at
okay,
Swampscott.
yeah.
that's what I was talking about. So is this 25,000? Is that in addition to the tuition dollars that go right to Swampscott?
That's added to the contract that increases by 2.5%.
But is that basically the standard rate for a student to go to Swampscott at the contract amount?
No, that's much lower than that.
I don't know what it costs.
This would be
for
a student that
for-
receives some special ed services from Swampscott.
Okay,
So,
They're
like-
I
not
was just
their,
curious.
their
That
program.
I guess like that's hard because our kids already are gonna go to Swampscott. And the tuition dollar, like when Galileo goes to Swampscott to 7th grade, instead of the tuition dollars coming here and staying here, they will go there, right? There won't be anything after whatever the tuition dollars.
They charge no more for 10 kids than 15 kids.
Right.
There's a
Yeah.
set amount.
Right.
They expect 2.5%.
Exactly, I remember working that out with them. We did send the kids early with that one. But like, that's a lot more money than just that for a school system that they're gonna go to anyway, right? And they're having a regular day, like, cause tiny town, some of the kids, so one of the kids I know, he goes to Swampscott and he has a regular day and he has a regular special education program that's woven into his regular day, right? It's not like bells and whistles and a dance. It's like, but this is really good special education services on top of the regular education plan. And maybe this is stupid to go down this road. It just feels it's a lot of money on top of
But
what already goes.
that's why I was asking what an individual, but you have to pay for that additional student. That's why I was asking what an individual student costs. And Patty said it's under 20.
That we had negotiated.
Plus
I
the
guarantee
2.5% that we pay overall, plus this money.
plus that, and I'm sure when we
Like, what's
negotiate
that,
the-
$27,000
That's
for?
for
What are they
one,
doing
that's
that?
for an additional student.
Is that one student or the total additional charge for second? I saw the number 6.
That's one.
No, that's their grade.
Oh, the grade, right?
So it's
okay.
because that student would be in Nahant, but they're
Right.
going to Swampscott instead.
Exactly, because they
So,
need more special
but
education
if a
services.
student costs $20,000 to go to Swampscott, they're charging us 27 for that student because it's special education. So it's not like,
It's not a standardized rate for special education services. I think each child negotiated.
yeah, but it's not, I don't, it's.
Yeah, like one of the students is a $51,000 charge and the other one of those is $25,000 charge.
Yeah.
And then there's a $27,000 charge. Like, why are they all different? Okay,
So, sure, yeah.
yeah. I'm just saying, part of me, like, when I start adding that up and then I add in tuition and then I add in the 2.5% that we pay, I wonder like whether we could bolster our special education program here. You know, and be able to solve, like, get some of the, like, we'll never be able to provide what
But right now
Vanderbilt School
our-
does or Easter Seals does. I have no idea what the rating is, but like, I do wonder whether we can bolster our special education services here.
Seems like right
And
now our
over
special
time.
education services though are costing us an arm and a leg because we have to
Yeah.
contract
Right,
them out.
right.
We have to contract them out.
Yeah, exactly.
To bolster them, I can't imagine what that would cost.
I think too, you gotta remember, it's like, when we talk about bolstering in for special education, sometimes there are needs that we can't meet,
Totally.
and we don't have enough students to
Right.
create a program.
Right.
So if one student is, say, one student on the autism spectrum and needs
Yes,
a whole program
a one-to-one.
at a consortium level. You can't have one kid in another.
Yeah, and I'm not really talking, I'm talking
I
about
see what you're
lesser,
saying.
yeah. I don't know how the math would work out. Small charter schools have the same problem, right? Yeah,
But isn't that why we're hoping that this literacy coach and the ELA and math specialist coming on full time will
Yeah.
shrink maybe help make it so that those kids who are going to Swampscott might be able to, I don't know, I mean, I have no idea
So
what they're.
that's why the focus is all on like MTSS, right?
Right.
Like how are
Yeah.
we making sure we're closing gaps and we're noticing where students are getting the services, right? So if kids are flexing in between, it could be like, what's happening in the classroom? What are we giving to them? Tier 3 is like typically your special education services happen. So if that's where kids are there, are they there because they just have gaps and need to fill the gaps? Or they really do not have a disability? Or is it that we are finding that students, you know, what's that percentage of kids? You know, with us strengthening our tiers, we're already noticing growth in students that we're like, wow, this is amazing. We didn't realize that students could do these things. Like, so it just makes us sharpen our pencils in the special ed department, to make sure we're meeting what student needs are. And having that flexibility going in between the tiers for intervention, which is why we need interventionists, so they can get the services and work with the teachers, and the coach trains the teachers on how to best meet the needs of these kids. So, like today, for example, we're teaching about, you know, student discourse. Teachers know that they're talking right, but helping them to refine and develop their lesson plans to incorporate those things is one example of what coaches do. Right? We're finding and looking at the best practices that can happen in practice. And that person needs time for research and
where do we crawl for those? These numbers could start to change. But then, I'm just, in my mind, I think of just in the last couple months, we have three new students that have been. And we can meet them. So that's easy to do.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think we don't know. You just have to really- That's why I think Rob looks at that and says, you know, there's all the money that you gotta. What we spend on, having something for. It can't be too much. Yeah. But we have a lot going on. Okay.
I think it's important to put it in buckets, like Patty.
Yeah, it really is, like in a presentation, it's just bullet format.
Like,
I can certainly help.
chart
like,
graph.
boom.
Yeah.
Chart graph,
I think that is
like,
fancy.
here's stuff that we literally cannot control. Here's
Yeah.
like.
Here's a recap.
Yeah.
This is the fact, X,
Right,
Y, Z.
yeah. And get them excited about where we can bring the school.
I think you will get buy-in. I understand her. She's very bright. She's on it. She's an accountant. She's a town administrator. Totally gets it. I don't envy her. I would not want to be in her position. Here, trying to balance. Not saying she's going to say no, but I think with open eyes.
No.
Have the question.
Can she say no?
We can push it.
Yeah.
Well, we have to do it early because an override, I've never gone through an override personally, and I'm sure it takes a tremendous amount of, work and has to do that in such a time frame that it can make it like the warrant. You can close out the community.
Yeah, that's the most thing I think is getting, is there's someone in town talked to me about other warrants that you can do to fund things, like they put money into a rainy day account. And I think you can present a warrant to say, don't do that. That money shouldn't be going in a rainy day account. The rainy day is here.
Well, I know we've got the school and then I know there's infrastructure that's here.
But that's why, like, I'm saying not just for us,
Yeah.
but generally, like, I know that there is a timeline that you have to get things on.
And it's. Sure what kind of date.
What's the time?
May.
Yeah.
The book was made.
Yeah.
When did this in? This Saturday and then, usually like the third Saturday.
Something else too is that unlike the other departments, their expenses are so predictable. They know in 20 years they're going to need $5 or if they can plan, there's so much fluctuation according to what the enrollment is and needs of kids moving in and that this is a totally different animal than what the rest of the town has to deal with. So if that's something, because they're really not, it's just not the same.
That's very, very
It,
the rest of the
and
town.
making the rest of the town understand and the residents understand that, this is like, surprise.
Oh, I mean, one placement changed last year. I remember it going up like $60,000 or something, overnight. It's like, well,
But I think that's something that people really don't realize that what an impact it does have.
I would agree.
Oh.
Until I came on the school committee, I had no idea what the outrageous cost was.
And they are entitled
Yeah, they
It's-
are, and they should have it.
They should, there's not even a question about that, but I don't think people realize, just from people that I see around town, you know, the older retired group, that weren't facing these issues when they were raising their kids, the world of their kids. And, but just, this is a lot, you don't know.
But how do we educate those people? So that they do know, so that they will support
I
it and
think
get behind us. like-
reminding them that this is a different, totally different species from what the rest of the town has as far as predictability. And that they have to take that into account, that you just don't know what's going to happen.
I think we're gonna, maybe we're gonna have to educate people.
Yeah, we should.
If this goes.
We're gonna have to speak out at the time meeting beforehand, I think, because an article in the,
We're gonna have to have a community
I
forum.
mean,
Community
like,
forum,
yeah,
yeah.
community- but like, yeah, community forum.
Explain.
Hey, here it is.
And be at town hall and invite the community and talk about the issue.
I think that's a great idea because a lot of people, they want the school to be great, but they don't realize how much really is involved.
And I'm not really on social media very often, but when I am, when I can't see it. The thing that drives me crazy about this town is, people just, they're not transparent, I've heard that so many times about so many different issues. It's like, okay, I wanna be transparent, let's be transparent. These are the
Well,
issues.
yeah, and
Yeah.
look at the crowd.
Well, that's something I find interesting because I check the Nahant residents at the end of each day just to see what people are complaining about. And it's amazing how out of touch with a lot of things they are.
I have two coyotes that keep jumping in my backyard and nobody will do anything about it.
I'm one of the pro coyote people too. I get slaughtered for
I'm pro
that,
coyote
but you know what?
They
If-
play with
if
my
you
dogs.
No, well, that's the thing. I mean, my dog bit one, and but that's something that people get so upset about. But
How do we,
don't walk with your little tiny dog on a leash extended 20 feet away.
is the solution like maybe something earlier in the day? Like, is 7 o'clock too late for people to come out to a meeting? I mean, I know we all work and have other lives, but like, as like an educational thing for people of like, this is why the school needs all this money. I just feel like that people don't understand, and we're gonna come out and be like, we need $700,000.
It's be really interesting to see how many people show up tomorrow,
Yeah.
which will be held at 7 o'clock. at town hall.
Yes.
I mean, I'm gonna be there, I don't know how many people.
I don't even know what we're voting. I mean, I know
It's about zoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're trying to rezone an area. Yeah, Bass Point.
Oh my God, you are right.
Don't lean over on us.
No.
My God.
No, that happens with those.
I
can't-
can't zone
I
like
can't-
multifamily. Is that it?
We do have to go back and do the
Yeah,
bills.
just zoning.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do anything, just zone in areas,
Yeah,
be in compliance with
That's all you
the
have to,
state.
yeah, that's all you have to do,
mandate.
yeah.
That is it, but
Right.
people don't understand.
Right.
But know what you don't
But that's what
understand?
I'm saying, it's education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people still, like, how do we get the word across that,
That's the thing. Well, a lot of them, it's the thing, if you live in the Bass Point Apartments, the current owners could just outright sell it. Anyway, whether this went through or not, I mean, they have the choice of whether oh, we're gonna up and sell it. You don't have that control over what actually goes in there.
Yeah.
But so this has no impact on anyone. I don't know.
Well, there were many community forums actually for this, but that was many years ago. I was on the regional committee for this. And it was well attended, but I'm just shocked as to how many people are still together.
No, they don't. They keep
We would have to have some community forums and really push the younger parents, right? That are not, the pre-KK ones that are gonna really take full advantage of the school to come on and speak on behalf of it, I think-
I'm appalled that you're not signing up for the Christmas tree sales, but it used to be full.
Marion says it seems to be the same thing.
Yeah.
We have a lot of it.
We do.
Uniform's a good idea though, just to
They do too.
let
I
people
think we're
know.
gonna need it.
Should go back into the bill roll.
Yeah.
Yes, but, so, I'm sorry, but there is another iteration of the.
That's an easy one,
Iteration
Rob.
of it.
That's an easy one.
So the question, Rob, is will we have it before the third? Because we have another school committee prior to. Yes.
I don't know if we have them before,
The
but
second is a Tuesday, but I think it's the second.
I think it's the second.
It's a time. You know, you must be exhausted.
Yeah, we do, the second. Yes, so we, right before,
the night before,
the night before.
all right.
Well, it's planned for a long,
Well,
the night before, right? But, I wanna give her something in advance though, in all fairness. So,
People observe challenging come up with a version 7 that uses 225 for circuit breaker reimbursement. Otherwise, than that, the numbers are the same. And I'll plug that in, clean it up. We can send it to Allison. And then you vote it the night of the second. And then we meet with her on the third.
discuss it. As long as she has it. Oh, fair enough. Okay, so let's move back to the bill roll. Sorry, I think we have to approve two bill rolls, the 4th and the 18th. I know we have a modification to one of them, which I believe is the 18th. And I haven't figured out what that modification is yet, but
It's like 40 cents, I think.
so if I could have a motion to approve the 11-4 bill roll.
Is that this one? Okay. Motion to approve the bill roll from November 4th in the amount of $26,585.87.
I second.
And the third, all in favor? Aye. Okay, in regards to the 11-18 bill roll, we can approve this amount with a slight modification of under $1.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the bill roll from November 18th in the amount of $110,637.49, plus or minus less than $1.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. I believe that is everything we wanted to discuss today. Does anyone have anything else that they'd like to add before we adjourn? No? Do I have a motion to adjourn? the meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:48 p.m.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana.
Have a good night.
The other one.
November 4th.
We